Hi, it's Shelly, nutrition mindset coach and dietitian. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about other things to talk about instead of dieting or body shape or size and policing somebody else's food or policing your own food. So this is a little bit of the reverse of the Silencing the Food Police video that I did a couple of weeks ago. That one was more aimed around if someone's making comments to you or about you. This is more for if you are trying to be more body positive or inclusive around all foods fit or having, a weight neutral approach, either in your own life or in the way that you talk about other people and the things that are happening. If you just want to be more positive in the way that you talk about other people and around things in your life that are happening, we have so many conversations that are filled with negativity, and I find that sometimes having a little bit of extra push to do something different is helpful. So this might be helpful for you if you need to change some of those habits. If these are your patterns right now, that maybe your conversations are characterized by negativity or comments about someone's body or their eating or something like that, that this might give you a little bit of a framework to help you get started on a new change. If you already are making an effort to do these things, then maybe this can help you a little bit, encourage you, and give you some extra ideas that maybe you haven't thought about yet. So first off, one of the things that I just use as my go-to, like all the time in any conversation that I need to have something to say, whether it's an awkward conversation, an awkward situation, I'm trying not to say something else, or I just don't know what to say, like I'm making small talk, and that is, what's something good that's happened in your life recently? And I ask it as a question most often, and then people tend to share something, right? And so then you can talk about that, or you can say something about your own life, something that's good, something that's fun or interesting that's happened, something that you're really thankful for. Anything like that can be a really good opportunity to start a conversation. And typically people have an answer to that question, right? To something good that's happened in their life. If not, maybe it's a really hard time in their life right now, or maybe they're not looking for these things. And then you can have a conversation about that instead. But it just starts that conversation going, gets people talking. So I find that is probably my biggest, most helpful question/conversation topic to use in pretty much any situation. If you don't have anything that's that exciting in your life, you could also use that as a conversation topic, like, oh, I was thinking, and my life has just been kind of like one thing after another, and then wake up and repeat it all. And I'm kind of feeling stuck in a rut. Have you ever felt that way? Do you have any suggestions? Those kinds of things. So like anything to start that conversation, anything to open a discussion is a helpful topic. If there's a quote that I'm forgetting who said it, but somebody said, if there's nothing that's interesting, if you have nothing interesting to share about your life, then go out and do more interesting things. And I guess to me, like, you don't have to do things just so that you can have an interesting life to talk about. That's not the goal. But if you're realizing that as I'm saying this, like, yeah, share something interesting in your life, and you're like, oh my gosh, my life has nothing interesting, then maybe you can think about what might be interesting to you, what might push you a little bit outside of your comfort zone or give you some new experiences. That's going to be so beneficial for more than just having a conversation topic, right? That's going to have a quality of life impact and really just help you feel like you're making the most of your life. Similar kind of topic is something that you're learning. So whether this is something like an activity, a new thing that you've tried, a new technique that you're doing, something that you've read or discovered lately, any of those kinds of things can be great conversation starters as well. And you can always ask the person right back, like, hey, I heard this really cool band, and I found out that they're actually from Seattle, and they all got to know each other by working at the same pizza restaurant or something like that. Like, trivia is good for this. Any little kinds of facts that you like, anything that's, find something that you like, and then learn a little bit about it so that it's not just something that you're just rehearsing facts, right? You can also share that with the other person and ask them, what's something new you learned, or have you discovered anything lately, or anything like that, right? All of these can be conversation topics going either way. If there's something like a news story, that can work too. I know for some conversations, news is not always an appropriate conversation topic, so be sure to use your discretion on this one. But if it's something that really interests you, you can probably find ways of putting it in there that is acceptable, depending on who you're talking with, and finding that common ground. So maybe you don't even agree with the way that, like the angle of that news story, but you can talk about that, or you can talk about, whatever else that you really are looking for to have that discussion. It's just, again, another idea to start that conversation. Any past story or memory is also helpful. So for example, like if someone is commenting about a food and you say, oh yeah, that actually reminds me, the best whatever this food is that I've ever had was at blah 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 restaurant when I was traveling, and I had this one. And then you can describe about that, or you can describe like, oh yeah, I always remember that my mom used to make this particular dish and it means a lot to me, or something like that. You can connect it to a memory, or you can connect it to some past story that you've had, or even if you have a lot of history, the person you're talking to, you can connect it with something that you both share, right? You can, any hobbies that you'd work on, like any of those are up for discussion that you want to share about, you can. And anything that you really enjoy doing, again, it's kind of the same thing. If you enjoy a topic, you're probably going to be really excited about sharing that, and that will help you feel more comfortable in that conversation, and it will help give that energy. Because I think a lot of times when we're coming up with things to talk about, if it's not something we're really connecting with, we just have this like really low, like, and then I saw this thing, like I did this thing, and everything just seems kind of flat and boring, and it's not really interesting. So if you want to have an interesting conversation, pick some topics that you're interested in. If for whatever reason you either cannot manage the conversation away from diets and bodies, or some of these questions, like the most interesting thing that's happened in their life is their new diet, and you would like to just be a little bit more upfront about it, you can also just explain that you don't want to talk about diets or body shape or other people, that you would prefer to do something else, or that you would prefer to talk about something else. And then in that case, you could use some of those techniques in the Silencing the Food Police video or in that resource list, and I can put that in the comments again for you. But really, being upfront isn't a bad thing either, and that can be a conversation starter in it of itself. Is that like, hey, I've been learning more about intuitive eating, or I'm trying to be more positive in the way that I talk about people, or whatever it is, that you can connect this and be connecting it with a goal that you have, rather than saying like, this other person, you are being so negative, you shouldn't do that. Because you can't control what they're doing, but you can control what you're doing. So you can say that you're connecting it to something you are choosing to control, right? And if you do decide to talk about food or health or your body or your physical activity or anything, like those aren't off limits topics unless you want them to be. But if you do want to talk about them, you can talk about them in a weight neutral, through a weight neutral lens. So you might want to talk about the taste of the food, or again, like the memory of the food, or how good it was, or making a food. Like maybe you tried to make a pie and this person is going on and on about how fattening they feel like this pie is. You can talk about how flaky this crust is and be like, oh yeah, this was so interesting and it's so good, and like I'm really enjoying the texture of this crust, because I could never get pie crust to turn out this way. Have you ever tried to make a pie? And then you can go on from there, right? You could talk about the benefits to you, like if you're talking about exercise or physical activity, you can talk about the benefits to you in other ways than the change in your body. So you can say, oh, I've really felt like I've had more energy, I've been sleeping better, my mood is better, maybe you feel stronger, maybe you are feeling like, there's like just a better outlook, maybe you just enjoy the activity, maybe this is your hobby, that you are enjoying this, not because it's exercise or workout, like you're not thinking about it as that, you're just thinking about, this is a really fun pastime that I enjoy, and you can talk about what you like about that activity. If you wanted to talk about other things, about health, and you didn't want to make it necessarily about exercise or food, You could talk about other things that are going on, like maybe you're working on posture, like, you know, standing up correctly or something, or maybe you're working on stress management, and how do you manage that stress that are coming from different areas of your life and some things that work for you. You know, those kinds of things, they're health related, but they're not necessarily about your body or your food. And so sometimes people are a little bit more confident talking about those kinds of things, or it's a little easier transition to go from somebody talking about their diet and their body, and you can say, oh, I'm also, you know, concerned about my health. I've been working on standing up better, and it's making me feel like I'm more alert, and, you know, that I'm more confident. And then you can explain something else about that, and it kind of transitions away from that diet talk to something else that is not necessarily weight related. And so if you really enjoyed any of those, then let me know. Also, if you have different comments or different conversation topics that you like to use and that aren't weight focused, that aren't body focused, leave a comment and let me know what that is. And I will be sure to link that Silencing the Food Police video in this comments as well, so you can go check that out if you wanted to know how to respond to people when they're making comments about you. And if you do like this kind of thing, if you want support throughout the year, I'm having a holiday special right now through December 31st, and that is a full year of support. So in 2019, you could be supported in this weight neutral, body positive way for your health and to help you reach your goals. And so I have more information about that. I've put that in the description, and that will be there ready for you, but be sure to take action on that quickly, because again, it goes away December 31st. So thanks for watching. I'm Shelly, helping you live fully and freely. I'll see you next week.